Watch this video on everything you need to know before purchasing a property in Catalina Foothills. Catalina Foothills is an area in northern Tucson, and it is the most expensive, the most luxurious. For a lot of my clients are drawn to this area. Now, this video is not to steer you away. It's to give you insight in case you're not looking at the local news, to give you not just the positives, but the negatives too. A lot of other agents aren't doing this. I talk about the negatives, and somehow that offends people, but I don't care. You are soon to be my client if you're not my client already, and I make these videos so that way you are educated and you are confident in the area that you end up choosing. Whether it's Catalina, whether it's Vail, whether it's Sahuarita, wherever, I'll get you the best dang deal wherever you want to go. As always, if you don't want to wait until the end of the video to start the process with me, book the call. The link is in the description below. Let's begin. Catalina Foothills, otherwise known as just the Foothills, is famous for its luxury homes, the stunning views because it's at a higher elevation, so at night and during the day, you can look down upon the rest of Tucson and be the king and queen of the hill. It's also home to some of the best schools in Arizona. Not my opinion, go on greatschools.org, niche.com, but no place is perfect. So if you're thinking of buying here, here are 7 pain points that the Foothills residents are currently complaining about. Real life examples. Pain point number 1, the road conditions.
Residents in the Catalina Foothills are asking for Pima County to help repave their roads after years of problems and safety issues. Today, the neighborhood held a homeowners meeting with Supervisor Rex Scott and Pima County's Department of Transportation Director to address some of their concerns. 13 News reporter Peyton May was there and has more on what the county plans to do next.
Nearly 100 neighbors showed up at today's HOA meeting. The topic of conversation, road safety. Neighbors want to know why their roads haven't improved in decades, and they're asking the county why. What seems like a simple problem.
As you'll know, they're beautiful homes, gorgeous views, and horrendous roads.
Just to clarify, in case you didn't hear that, that's one of the residents saying gorgeous views, horrendous roads.
Maybe more difficult to solve than neighbors expected. In 2019, Pima County found that 70% of their roads were in poor or failed condition. That's why they started a 10-year road pavement repair and maintenance program.
I want to pause here for a second. While you are looking at the condition of this road, and you've seen a couple of other examples of what the roads look like at Catalina Foothills, compare that to where you're living now. It may be worse, it may be better, but this is the condition of the roads, not just in Catalina Foothills, also in Tanque, Verde. Very, very common for these types of cracks in the road. Overall, a little bit more of the northern parts of Tucson tend to be a little bit older homes, a little bit more established, if you will. So you're going to see these type of road conditions.
I can't walk 15 paces or 10 paces without having to look down because there's a dangerous condition there, but I can hurt myself on it.
John McFadden would know. He tripped and fell on a pothole covered with gravel 6 weeks ago. Since then, him and his wife have been pushing the county to make repairs.
But the real thing is safety, and that's why I'm an advocate for this thing, because I want people to be safe in their own neighborhood.
But Cimarron's roads haven't made the cut. Pima County's Department of Transportation Director, Catherine Skinner, says the roads approved for repairs every year have the worst PCIs. That means even with Cimarron's low score, their roads aren't bad enough to be repaved.
Now, this is scary. This is why I'm bringing this to your attention as the number 1 pain point. That's why I'm starting this video off with this, because a man tripped and fell. You saw how bad he got hurt. Something else that you may not be aware of if you are buying from out of state, out of city, out of town, out of country, is these areas, Catalina Foothills and more northern parts of Tucson, don't have sidewalks. Now, the main roads, yes, they're gonna have sidewalks, but a lot of the neighborhoods don't have sidewalks. And a lot of residents are wanting to get out and about and do their morning walks at 6 a.m. before the heat, really rises and it becomes 125 degrees. So they're active. If these are active communities that already don't have a sidewalk, they are forced to pretty much walk on the street where cars are flying by, and they're having to walk along the edge of rocks versus street versus some cracks. And you really do have to be careful and look down to make sure that you don't fall and end up being hurt like this guy is talking about.
You're not alone in wanting your neighborhood done next, and we just can't predict it because there's too many factors at play, and we don't want to promise something that we can't deliver.
The HOA says the purpose of today's meeting was to learn how roads get on that list of repairs. While they might not have gotten a concrete answer, their president says their goal remains the same.
And in case you didn't catch that, this was an HOA meeting. So a lot of the residents from Catalina Foothills, they went to the HOA meeting, which was to discuss how do roads get fixed? How bad does a road have to be before we finally get on the list for the Department of Transportation of Arizona to fix this?
Our goal is to get educated, do whatever we can, form the partnership with Pima County, and make this happen.
The Pima County Department of Transportation can't say when Cimarron's roads will be repaired. That list will be approved after a review this fall and shared ahead of the next fiscal year. Reporting from Catalina Foothills, Peyton May, 13 News.
So there you have it. People are getting hurt, not just elderly people. It's also kids, bikers, which there are a lot of bikers in Tucson. And I don't mean motorcycle, although that too, but road bikes. This also, from a real estate agent perspective, can affect your resale appeal. How much is the house going to be worth if you decide to sell it within the next couple of years before DOT ends up fixing the roads? That could drive a lot of buyers out. So my pro tip of what I tell all of my clients is to drive the neighborhood if you're already local. Drive it during the day, drive it at night, get out of your car and walk the neighborhood at night to make sure you feel safe. And if you catch Tucson on a rainy day, go out there during the rains, because you will be surprised. Tucson does get quite a bit of rain. I've mentioned that in other videos before. You can watch those. But the bigger problem with the rain is the rain has nowhere to go. It doesn't just seep into the ground like in other states and cities and regions. It just sits there. So it floods. And believe it or not, even if you live a little bit higher than the lowest point, your road may be flooded when it rains or when it's monsoon season. Trust me, I've been there. I used to live in Tanque, Verde, which is zip code 85749. Catalina Foothills is 85718, but the roads are similar. The elevation is a little similar. Tanque Verde is lower in elevation. Catalina is higher, but depending on how high you live, if you live maybe toward the base of the mountains of the foothills, you may be flooded. If you are not in the local area, then do your best on maps.google.com. Drop the little yellow guy, virtually walk the neighborhood. You'll see when the last time those Google trucks or cars came out. They do a pretty good job of keeping up to date. So you'll see the road conditions and you'll see the actual sidewalks or lack thereof and what you can expect. So explore the neighborhood virtually until you find a property that you very much so like that meets all of your criteria. Then my team and I will go show it for you. Moving on to pain point number 2, the HOA and the CCNR rules. Now let's go to our handy dandy, completely peer-reviewed, journaled, published, credited friend called Reddit. There is an entire Reddit thread talking about why are people so rude that live in the foothills. So do with that what you will. They end up talking about the HOAs, and the people that are the most rude are actually part of the HOA. Now, this is not only isolated to the foothills. There are HOAs everywhere in Pima County, especially in the Tucson area. Tucson loves their HOAs. So homeowners constantly are dealing with new rules, fines, changes, comments, and depending on the leadership of the HOA, which I know nothing of the leadership of the HOA community in the foothills. I just hear from some of my sellers that are selling all over Tucson that, yeah, the HOA didn't really bother us too much, all the way to, I can't stand it. The reason I'm selling is because of the HOA. So I hear it from all sorts, everyone on the spectrum. However, instead of leaning on hearsay, go straight to the document which covers it all, which is the CCNRs. If you go to a website, this website is cfatucson.org, and you reach out to someone there, they can give you a copy. Pretty sure, I can't promise this, but I believe that they would be able to give you a copy if you contact them. So that way you can see what are the rules. Can I have an RV in the driveway? Do I have to park it somewhere else? Is there street parking allowed? Do I have to park elsewhere? How long can I have my holiday lights up on the house after the holidays? What are the most common violations so I can avoid them? Would those cramp my lifestyle? Do I want to deal with this? And you can choose for yourself. There are pros to HOAs. I don't want to just rag on them. They do tend to keep neighborhoods a little bit more prim and proper, so they don't look a hot mess. So that way your next door neighbor isn't running 42 businesses and has a whole auto shop on their front lawn. So you can decide for yourself, since this is opinion-based, whether or not you would find this too restricting or maybe not enough. My pro tip as a real estate agent is to know what the CCNRs are before you fall in love with the house. Pain point number 3 is the cost of maintenance on a house and the hidden costs of homeownership in relation to the foothills specifically. specifically. Many homes in the foothills are older. A lot of them are custom builds. A lot of the homeowners that are selling now because they don't want to have to pay for an entire new plumbing system, for an entire new roof, which each could cost over $50,000, for an entire new HVAC. So be on the lookout for that. And I'll be telling you this too. Any single time a client reaches out to me and says, hey, this is my list of top 5 homes, I do my research. I look at what we call the SPUDs, or the Seller Property Disclosure Statement. This is where legally the sellers have to disclose everything of what's wrong with the house. If not, if we find out that they purposely didn't disclose something, purposely is a key word, that's grounds for lawsuit. Now, I cannot be involved with that because I'm not a lawyer, but that is something for you to know. If after you close on a property, that's grounds for a lawsuit. But back to the SPUDs, I will be reviewing all the SPUDs. I'll send them all out to you. I will let you know what I find of what would concern me, what is out of the ordinary for me. And we see homes every single day. So that way you can know how old is the HVAC? How old is the water heater? How old is the roof? And of course, we're not just relying on what the sellers disclose. We're also going to get inspections. I will schedule them all for you. Unless you have yours that you want to schedule, whichever vendor you want to use, we'll use yours. Unless you want to use the ones that have come recommended from my clients and that I have personally used too, we can use ours. So we will be getting a roof inspection, a plumbing inspection, especially those two, termite inspection, all of the inspections that you want. All in all, it's going to cost about $1,200 depending on the size of the home, square footage. But you can expect, if you want all of the inspections, about $1,200. My pro tip related to this as a real estate agent is once you close on the home, expect to put away about 1% to 2% of the purchase price of what you paid for the home. Just put that aside for when you need to make upgrades and do big type of maintenance issues, which is considered capital expenditures or CapEx, or just regular maintenance. And that's 1% to 2% annually. So if you pay $1 million for a property, save about $10,000 to $20,000 a year, put it off to the side for when you need to replace the roof, for when you need to upgrade the plumbing. Those are going to be expensive. You don't want to wait until it happens to then say, oh wow, I didn't expect this. Now, where do I come up with the funds? Pain point number 4 are the driveways and the steep terrain. Being that the foothills is the foothills, there are some steep driveways, let me tell you. Now, nothing of course compared to San Francisco or other parts of the world. There's some areas where you're like, you may be winded just walking up the driveway, just going down to get the mail and coming back. As one of our friends on Reddit here,
Just kidding, it's not a friend. I have no idea who this person is.
but I wanted to bring this to your attention. They say, for one, the terrain is so steep that some driveways look like they'd give me a heart attack. Now, I have no idea what your cardiovascular condition is, but make sure the grade of the driveway or how steep a driveway is plays into whether or not the property even makes the list of homes to view. You can find that out before even going to the neighborhood. You can find that out on maps.google.com. There is another point of what this person said that I thought was very interesting too. Despite them pretty much saying that they don't actually live in the foothills, so keep that in mind as well. But they brought up a good point. The houses are spaced so far apart, nothing feels neighborly about it at all. Now, this also is not just specific to the foothills. I have heard the same complaint about other areas in Tucson, for example, Vail, but usually the complaints that I'm getting are the houses are too close together. So I found this very interesting that there is that happy medium of what people do like. They don't want that much land where they think, am I the only person in this town? You're so far away.
But they also don't want to wake up and extend their arm, and now their arm is in their neighbor's kitchen.
Even within the foothills, there are homes that are closer together, some, and then there are also some homes that just have bigger lots. So really keep in mind, how big of a lot do you want? What is too big? What is too small? Because that's a really, really good way to filter out homes that you would not want. Now, as of right now on the MLS or the multiple listing service where that real estate agents have access to, I cannot filter out how steep of a gradient the driveway is, although that would be very nice. But we can filter out the lot size. Pain point number 5 is the commute and the convenience. This I agree with. Depending on where in the foothills you end up purchasing, just going to the grocery store is going to feel like a day trip. The commutes to central Tucson are obviously going to be longer the more north you live in the foothills. A lot of areas do not qualify for Uber Eats. Grubhub, as of right now, is not a thing in Tucson. Neither is Seamless, although maybe by the time you're watching this, maybe we have finally gotten somewhere. But even if they do, a lot of times, if you're not living in Tucson proper, the city limits proper, you will not be able to order delivery food. It sucks. Trust me, I used to live in Tanque, Verde, and I even called the Domino's and said, I don't care. I will drive. What is the perimeter? What corner? I will look up an address and I will meet you there.
And they said, no, ma'am, we can't do that.
And I was like, name your price. How much more can I tip you? I just don't want to go all the way down there because it was a day trip just to go to Domino's. So please be wary of this. If you are not the biggest fan of cooking and you tend to have days where you're feeling a little lazy, you just want to relax, you want food to be delivered to you, that's not always going to be the case in the foothills. It's going to be a struggle. So a pro tip from Allie the agent is if you do use Uber Eats often, test it out. Before you even send me a property, go on Uber Eats app and switch the address to the property that you're considering. Again, this is part of your filter before you even bring it to my attention. Go on Uber Eats app, change the location of where you're ordering from to that address, and then scroll through the vendors or the restaurants that are on Uber Eats. 1, do you like them? 2, as you start making the order, go as if you're going to actually check out, because you have to, don't pay for it. Don't pay for it. I'm not reimbursing anybody for doing this. So don't pay for it, but it'll tell you, you are too far away. You don't qualify.
And that is one of the saddest screens I have ever seen in my life.
But if it does let you pay, again, don't pay for it. But now you know, you're in the clear, you're gonna be able to get your Chipotle or whatever it is that you wanna order. Look up the common routes that you think you're going to be taking. Trips to Costco, trips to the gas station, the gym, your place of residence. How far is that going to be? And don't just look at right now's time, look at Monday morning at 7:30 a.m. on your way to work. How long is the commute going to be? I tell all of my clients to do this. Before I get into the last two, I don't think I even fully introduced myself. My name is Allie Garced. I am a real estate agent in Tucson, Arizona. I used to be a special agent for the Air Force when I served for 10 years as a major. Well, I didn't serve 10 years as a major, but I got to the rank of major. I was an Air Force officer. I was a special agent working for the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. Now I am a real estate agent and I help you get the best dang deal that I can get you based off the negotiation skills that I learned from the military. I do this all day, every day, and I help people just like you, people that don't live in Tucson, that don't really maybe know too much about it, that are out of state or out of country. That's what I specialize in. I'll make the process seamless for you. I have a great team. And if you're watching this and it's still 2025, now is the best deal, baby. Now I'm getting my clients below market interest rate. I'm talking in the 4s. Sellers are paying for all of your closing costs. Of course, I can't promise this. This is just what my past buyers have been getting. Sellers are paying for majority of your buyer agent commission. So I'll do the negotiation. So when you're ready to get started, the only way to get started with me is to book a call using the link below. It's called Calendly. That gives you direct access to my calendar. Book a call whenever you and all buying parties are there and available. You and your spouse, you and your mother, daughter, sibling, whoever else is going to be involved in the home buying process. I want to meet them, answer all the questions so that way I can start doing my research before we even meet. So that way we can hit the ground running. I am excited to work with you. So pain point number 6 is the darkness. In case you don't know, Tucson is a town that studies the stars. The University of Arizona has a big program on that. And it's actually a pretty cool like date night or getaway when you go up to the top of Mount Lemon and you can go to the observatory, I believe it's called there. It's pretty cool if you're a nerd like me. But that is why there are practically no lights outside of central Tucson because of the light pollution, and it would be hard to study the stars. So therefore, Catalina Foothills, not being in Tucson city limits, Tucson proper, they have no lights. Perfect for stargazing, terrible for driving, especially if you have cataracts. Is it cataract? Would that be the condition to... Anyway, you get what I mean. If you don't drive well at night, Catalina Foothills may not be the place for you. You get both ends of the spectrum here because again, this is all opinion based. Some people call it beautiful, inviting, peaceful. The other end of the spectrum, some people say it feels unsafe. I can't see. So the pro tip for this as a real estate agent is when you're looking at a property, let's look at it also at night and let's see, is the house lit up enough so you don't trip going up the stairs to your front door if there are stairs. Let's get a quote for outlining the driveway so that way you have those nice lights that could be solar powered. Overall, just nice landscaping lighting for the nighttime so that way your house doesn't look like a haunted house and you don't trip and fall, or someone else doesn't trip and fall and sues you. Pain point number 7, and that is the wildlife. Coyotes, snakes, scorpions, tarantula. You're going to see that in the foothills. You're also going to see a bunch bunch of baby quail, some fox, javelinas, which are an endangered species, or don't attack them. So if you have kids or pets that can't defend themselves, and I'm not talking cats, I have seen cats defend themselves against coyotes and win. Cats are amazing. Wow. I did not know that. But if you have, say, a weak little dog, perhaps a chihuahua, perhaps a child the size of a chihuahua, be very careful. Now, so they say tarantulas help avoid scorpions because they eat all the bad stuff around there, or whatever. Cool. They're still scary to me. But as a real estate agent, tips for that, I would get monthly pest control, monthly weed service, and monthly pool service if you have a pool in the backyard. Because yes, you're going to see some little mice at some point in the drains. And unless you want to be cleaning that, let someone else do that. But you might be on the spectrum of saying, that's why I want to purchase in the Foothills Alley. I want to be surrounded by wildlife. Then Catalina is the place for you. I didn't mention this before, but they are home to some of the best restaurants in town, and it's that much closer to Phoenix Airport because you're in the northern part of Tucson. I hope this video helped. If it did, please like this video. It's completely free for you. But more importantly, if you found value and you want to purchase in Tucson, I am your girl. Let's get started with the link below. I will see both of you on Zoom. Yes, it's going to be me. Me, you, and your spouse. I'm assuming that you have a spouse, but if not, totally fine. It'll be you and I. If you want me to have a lender on the call too, please let me know. Too easy. I'm excited to start helping you out. And until then, bye.